Welcome to BPA training. In this video, we'll be focusing on a typical workflow for front desk staff, and that will include working with the scheduler, the dashboard, and dealing with existing and new patients. As you can see in front of you right now, we have the scheduler open, and this will be probably one of the common windows front desk staff is going to have open throughout the day. Again, they can get to the scheduler by hovering their mouse over at the left-hand side and selecting scheduler. In addition to having the scheduler open, it may be common as well for front desk staff to have the dashboard open throughout the day. Even on a secondary monitor is often recommended if possible. Again, we can get to that on the left-hand side, hovering our mouse and clicking on dashboard. And I'll bring that up just so you can see what it looks like for our day. As you can see, we have a couple patients. One is in the office in an exam room currently. We have another one scheduled later on in the day. Let's imagine now a scenario where an existing patient calls and they want to schedule an appointment for today. So we can go back to our scheduler, we'll minimize our dashboard, and find an open time slot on our schedule and begin adding that patient in. We'll double click on the schedule to start a new appointment. We can add in that patient's name quickly at the upper left. And we'll, as usual, make sure the location, provider, the time frame, duration, all of that looks good to us, and we can select a reason code at the right. Hit OK to make that appointment quickly. If we go back to our dashboard, it will automatically show up in here and refresh over a couple minutes or depending on our settings, but we can get that to show up right away hitting this little refresh button in the dashboard. And we'll see Linda Abbott has pulled up here. Now let's just imagine some time has passed. Linda has now arrived for her appointment, and we'll use this dashboard to help her go through the workflow in our dashboard here. So we'll click on Linda's name. If we ever needed to, we can go update her demographic information, her contact info, insurance by actually clicking on her picture up here. That'll bring up that demographic area. But we'll indicate that she has arrived in the office by checking that checkbox. And we can indicate too that she is ready for the visit. Once we've done that, we can click done just to show you what that looks like. That'll move Linda over here under in office, and it'll show waiting room and checked in. Now if she had come in and she could be seen right away, or perhaps she's now ready to be seen, you'll notice we're now under this visit status bar, and we can say exam and choose the doctor. We have here Dr. James Smith, and we can associate a room for her. So we can say now she's in the exam room and hit done. At this point, the provider, if they also have the dashboard open, they will be able to see the patients and go ahead and fill out their visit note by clicking on this red button here for visit note. So imagine this provider is done with the patient. They could choose sign out to post-exam if that applied, or sign out to desk. Optionally, of course, the front desk staff can always do this too if the provider does not want to. All right, so they could sign out to desk, and that will again move now down to this next section under the checkout process. So we could select the button here, begin checkout, and choose checkout. We could also print some documents, collect charges. We can see at the right there's some references as well to other specialties or providers. In this case, we'll just complete the checkout process and hit done. Okay, so we see Linda Abbott has been removed now from our dashboard, and we only see the patients that have not been checked out from the system. We can now imagine another scenario where a new patient calls to make an appointment and schedule with the office. So we just considered an existing patient. Now we'll see what it looks like for someone brand new to the office. So for that, we'll go back to our scheduler, and we'll have to, of course, add the patient in before technically we can make the appointment. Now, you may know you can add patients in under the open chart area of iPatient Care eChiro EHR. But another way you can do so that's probably quicker for front desk staff is to still find the time that the patient wants to schedule and open that up. Now there's a handy button here, this plus button, to add a new patient on the fly, which makes this really quick. So we'll just enter in, chances are if the person's called, we can quickly put in that patient's first and last name. You'll notice by the red asterisks what's required to be filled out. We'll mark the gender, the patient's date of birth, and it would probably be helpful to have a way to contact them. Chances are if they called, we already have their phone number. Now, because this is a demonstration, I also have to manually put in the MRN chart number, but in your system, chances are this will automatically be populated for you. So just a couple quick details, and we can hit save and close, and we've created our new patient ready to be put on the schedule. Again, just like before, we need to make sure we like the provider that's selected, the time frame, duration. You'll notice down here it shows that this is a new patient. We could even mark this as a walk-in if this was someone who just came into the office. Additionally, we'll select the reason code as we had before and hit OK. And now that new patient is on our schedule. Now to see that on the dashboard, we'll again refresh and we'll see that new patient show up here. So again, just like before, we'll imagine a little time has passed. This patient has now arrived into the office, and we'll click on this patient. Chances are you're going to have some intake forms or other questions, other information you gather from this new patient. And what's really helpful is once you're in this practice dashboard and have opened this patient, just like I mentioned before, you can click on the picture and that'll bring you right back to the patient's demographics. So this might be a time you gather their address information. Just put in a quick sample location. We might choose, if we go into their subscriber area, to be able to put in the insurance carrier that they have. We'll say that this is a primary carrier. We'll pick a sample health insurance plan, effective dates, and an insurance ID. And if we go down a little bit further, we'll notice we have the co-payment area. Okay, so we've been able to gather more information from the patient. We can save and close that. All right, now that we have the necessary information for this patient, we can mark them just like before as arrived and go through the remainder of the process to send that patient to the doctor and eventually check them out as well. Well, one last part of the process that we wanted to mention is pretty typical after a patient has been seen in the office is to schedule them for a follow-up visit. We can easily do that by going back to our scheduler, finding a time on the schedule that will allow us to schedule with the patient. Of course, we can use the calendar at the upper left to find a day and time. Or as a reminder, we have our button at the upper right, this appointment button, where we can select search appointment. That will allow us to find open times that match the patient's needs and criteria and easily be able to plug them in at an appropriate time. One last thing we wanted to mention to you as a reminder, over at the left-hand side, under this help option, you can click on EMR help. And if you want more details on any of this process or other parts of the software, you can use the helpful documentation here, including, like we discussed today, on the dashboard and the scheduler. Well, thanks again for watching this BPA training video.